To the last meeting of the Board of Education. I say that with a smile. But before we start our meeting, let's see, is Caroline McDowell here? Here? No? Okay, what about Lucy Miller? Okay, well, we're going to honor what they did. Is Lucy here? No. Okay, so Mr. Palma is going to open our meeting. And then we're going to do our recognitions in the pack, and then we'll adjourn to the community room for board business.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Board of Education of Somerset Hills. Please be advised that this and all meetings of the board are open to the public and the media, consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act, and that advance notice required therein has been provided. This is a meeting of the Board of Education of Somerset Hills at which formal action will be taken. The public will have an opportunity to be heard as shown on the agenda.
So we're going to begin the meeting. Instead of the Pledge of Allegiance, we had 3 students that we had wanted to recognize, but they're home studying for exams. And it was brought to our attention, not by them, by a parent of another student, that these 3 young ladies, Abby Lim, Caroline McDowell, and Lucy Miller, the week of Memorial Day, that whole week, went down to our post office in Bernardsville and actually were there for the raising and the lowering of the American flag, and they sang the national anthem a cappella for a week, and the veterans were there and raising and lowering the flag, and nobody knew that they did it. They just did it because they thought that it was something that was important, and honoring the veterans was close to their hearts. So when we found out about it, we also found that there was a video of it. So we asked if we could get a hold of it because we thought it was nice to recognize that type of character. So instead of the Pledge of Allegiance, we'd like to actually open the meeting with the girls singing the Star Spangled Banner. Such a touching tribute to the veterans. So we're going to start tonight with the recognitions for our students because we know that some of them have to go home and study. And we're going to begin tonight with the student who has been at every board meeting, reporting out from the student perspective what's happening at the high school, what the needs of the high school could be, and just having a very, very nice dialogue with the board. So where is Freddie? Come on down, Freddie. I always forget him. I always put him last. And he always has to sit through everything because he's a standard part of the meeting, so he goes last in terms of the first part of board business, but the last part has to wait through all the recognitions. So tonight we're recognizing you. And now we want you to show everybody this present too. So, very important to us. It's really hard for me to give this to you too. I just want you to know this. You'll know why in a minute. So Freddie, for your dedication, your diligence, and your accolades to your fellow students all year long. You're just wonderful. And it's going to be hard to replace you. So good luck, and we're going to miss you, and you have to open your present. Okay, shake my hand, and then you have to open your present, and you have to show everybody what we got. Will understand, and so will Freddie. We didn't think we should get you a pen. Young people don't write anymore. So we got you a mug with Georgetown. On the one side, and on the other side, Somerset Hills. That's great, be careful. And good luck at Georgetown. But go Cats. That's great. Oh, you're welcome, you're very welcome. All right. No more presents, that's it. And we have cake in your honor. We do. It's a big celebration. No, seriously, we appreciated everything, okay? All right. And you still have it. And he's had to endure the taunts all year, too. So we are going to move on to our county scholar athletes. Is Megan Sardis here? Okay, what about Kurt Goulden? Is he here? Yes. All right. Great, Kurt, congratulations, and you get to stand over towards the center so everybody can see you, and I'll read about you. How's that? Yeah, right. So we're proud of you, so you have to be in the center. All right. So, we know you're going to Notre Dame. Congratulations. We're happy about that. We would like to say that Kurt Goulden is a leader in the classroom, a determined athlete, and a dedicated son and brother. Academically, Kurt is a natural scholar. His exceptional achievement in honors and AP courses at Bernards High have cultivated his academic curiosity, challenged his assumptions, honed his critical thinking skills, and increased his drive and ambition. Outside of the classroom, Kurt has been active in BHS athletics since freshman year. A two-season athlete, Kurt balances his time beautifully, always giving 100% on and off the field. His dedication to football and lacrosse extend well beyond the average season, as he trains diligently throughout the year and participates in club sports in an ongoing fashion. This hard work and dedication has earned recognition in the form of the BHS Scholar Athlete Award for every season of participation to date. He has also been recognized beyond BHS and named first team all-conference in football in 2015 and second team all-conference and midfield attack in lacrosse in 2016. Kurt has been recognized with the Coaches Award in varsity lacrosse, as well as named a captain for the year. In fact, Kurt was named captain of the varsity football this year as well. Both acknowledgments reflect his great attitude, active participation, and leadership skills. Kurt's coaches describe him as a class act, an intense competitor, and a fantastic leader, well deserving of the title Team Player, which he won this year, or last year. His lacrosse coach added, besides being named a captain, he was a prime-time player, playing his best games in the playoffs this year and leading up to the only second-time championship game in school history. His addition to varsity football and varsity lacrosse, Kurt also takes an active role in the BHS Key Club, assisting in the planning and organization of the annual intergenerational prom at the high school. A devoted member of his church, Kurt is described as a quiet but sincere practitioner of the Catholic faith. A regular Eucharistic minister, he thoroughly enjoys his role as assistant religious education teacher in his church's religious education program. He was recently selected by his pastor as the recipient of the 2016 Diocesan Youth Award in recognition of his outstanding faith and service to his community and church. Kurt's strong moral compass makes him an excellent example for both his peers and younger students in the community. He is bright, charismatic, and driven. And we have no doubt that he is going to do great things as he begins his academic and athletic career at Notre Dame in the fall. Congratulations, Kurt. We are so very proud of you. Say go Irish. We don't say that for Georgetown. Excellent. Okay, let's see. Do we have the Somerset County Health Big? Are those students here? And come on down. And I know Mr. Palick unfortunately couldn't be with us, but is Coach McGinn going to take over? Yeah. And I only tease Freddie about Georgetown because I went to Villanova, so we have that thing going on. It's not anything personal. All right, you have to go to the center stage. All right, and you get that.
So for the first time, we sent a team from Bernardsville Middle School to the Somerset County Health Week. It is sponsored by the YMCA, and it was held at the Hillsborough YMCA on May 10th. We had 4 7th graders that we volunteered to join the team. With us, we have Olivia Perone and Armand Maristrami. We also had Josiah Walsh and Eliza Baxter as participants. It was a Jeopardy-style game show where they were asked a variety of questions on health and fitness. They prepared on their own. It was really all about the students. Mr. Palick was there and coached them on, and we won. We took first place out of, we will not mention how many teams were there, but we took first place. And in reward for that, we will be receiving a $1,000 check that the students will help in deciding how we will spend with the Health and Physical Education Department. Congratulations.
They're still standing. They like that. See, if you keep competing and winning, you get to keep coming up there, which is a good thing. So, thank you, Coach. And is Mrs. Martin here? Miss Martin here. All right, so we had some Latin winners, Latin gold medal exam winners.
Each year in March, our students in grades 7 through 12 sit for the National Latin exam. This year they were joined by 148,000 other American students from all 50 states and 16 foreign countries. To say that the National Latin exam is a difficult exam is an understatement. 6 different textbooks are used to teach Latin to all American students, and each of these textbooks present things in different orders. So it's quite likely that our students find questions on it that they have not studied yet in our curriculum. Happens to everyone. These students standing before you have overcome that obstacle by earning the top honors on the National Latin exam, gold medals. To do so, they need to think out of the box. They need to have such dedication to their studies. They need to be awesome like they are. They are wonderful. I am pleased to report that of the 41 students in the middle school who took the test, a total of 20 students received awards, and 1 gold medal winner, top honor. Kelsey Klein couldn't be here, 8th grade trip. He's on her trip right now. These 3 are 3 of 4 high school students who also earned the top honors. And I'm very pleased to present to you Edith Poe, Joe Keel, Lauren Sugarman, and Thomas Wella could not be here tonight. Awesome job, guys. So proud of you.
That's excellent. The gold. The gold is always the... Yes, yes. And that's why you were center stage. Excellent job. Thank you very much. And let's see, is Riley here? Riley Hahn? No. So Riley is here because he recently completed a successful golf season. He was the team captain. He led the Bernard's golf team to another Skyland Conference Championship. He was unanimously chosen for first team All-Mountain Division for the Skyland Division and for the 2nd straight year. But that's not really why he's here. That's all really wonderful, and we're very proud of you for that. However, in a league match, was it against Bridgewater? Is that who it was? Okay. On top of all that success, he added another honor to the list. And anybody that golfs knows that this is the ultimate honor. On the 2nd hole at Somerset Hills Golf Course, our home course, a top 100 golf course in the world, he aced the 2nd hole, which means hole in one. To serious golfers, this hole is known as the Redan, which is a famous design worldwide. And what that means is it's really, really, really difficult. Currently, the 2nd hole at Somerset Hills is listed as the number 6 Redan hole in the world, according to Golf Magazine. And our golfer had a hole in one. The odds of a hole in one for amateurs is 12,500 to 1. And that's a regular hole in one. So, Riley, we are more than proud of you and your success, and we hope that you realize the enormity of that hole in one on that course and that hole. Because whatever you think you realize now, 30 years from now, you're going to go, man, I was good. So, congratulations. Well done. Going to take let's do Coach Carmen and boys track. because we had great success there too. Congratulations on a great season.
All right, before we yep, that's all right, we got time. Before we get started, I got to thank a couple people. Thank the board and Dr. Wood for recognizing the track team, and specifically our distance medley guys here. Mr. Hoppy and Amy Malzone, as secretary, for all their hard work behind the scenes. And Mr. Hoppy always putting the kids first and looking out for his coaches. And for Mr. Hoppy also pushing for us to host a sectional meet here for the second time in the last 3 years. Had about 40 different schools throughout Central Jersey here 2 weekends ago. It was a great success. Part of that success was the custodian and maintenance crew did a great job setting up, cleaning up, making the facility and the school look great. Tons of compliments from other kids, coaches, staffs, all very impressed. Some of our other coaches and staff, Coach Shostak, who's actually getting honored right now at a Somerset Patriots game for all his coaching accolades. Coach Tom DeMarco, Coach Matt Finks, and Coach Sam Dokas. Along with these 4 guys being awesome this year, we also had a great team. And just for the 3rd consecutive year in a row, we won our division title. We also went to a Saturday Invitational in Island, the Mustang Invitational, and won that, besting 18 other schools. We took 2nd in our conference relays as well. But a major part of, like I said, of our success are these 4 guys, and they happen to make up our distance medley team. This Saturday, they're flying down to Greensboro, North Carolina to compete in our nationals. And of course, we wish them the best of luck. For a majority of the season, these guys had the fastest distance medley time in the entire state. For the most part, for those that don't know, the distance medley is comprised of 4 different lengths. Our first anchor, Connor Rohr, will run the 1200, and Connor is a 4-year letter winner for us, had a phenomenal season himself, multiple awards and accomplishments throughout the year, going to be attending Rutgers University next year. Amar Bindra, our next guy, is going to be running the 400, another 4-year letter winner for us, 5th in the counties in the 400 hurdles, a great leader, a tough competitor. Quentin Kelly, next up, running our 800 leg, that's 2 laps around the track. Tough competitor, had to fight through tons of injuries this year, persevered and did the best whenever he possibly could and whenever his team needed him. And lastly, Stu Gruters, just a junior, but again, a major contributor to our team. Tons of awards himself, placed in the sections, placed at the groups, and was our lone member to compete at the Meet of Champions this year. These guys are a great collection of not just athletes, but student athletes. I had to take a trip down to the guidance office today just to get a peek at these guys' GPAs. And between the 4 of them, they combine for an average of 3.6 GPA. So the true definition of what student athletes are, and especially what we like at this school. I also want to recognize a couple guys in that band over there are a major part of our track team as well. But we'd like to all just wish a good luck to this group of distance medley guys as they travel down to North Carolina for their nationals this Saturday. Good luck, boys.
Good luck, guys. Good luck. So we're going to segue, we have 2 more student groups. We're going to segue away from them right now, and we're going to go to the Teachers of the Year. So I have Ms. Phelan here, who's going to present our Teacher of the Year from the Bedwell School.
I will not fall, I will not fall. It is my great honor to present our Bedwell Teacher of the Year, Darcy Bruton. Darcy has been a third grade teacher at Bedwell since 2004. She is an outstanding teacher who consistently creates a vibrant classroom environment while serving as a positive role model for her students, the staff members, for everyone she encounters. She's innovative, she's dedicated, she inspires her children to think outside the box, and she finds countless ways to connect with children in a fun, caring, challenging, and stimulating classroom atmosphere. She also is someone who participates in countless building level, district level, and community projects and events. And I'd also just like to say what Ms. Bruton has to say, because I think she explains it better than I could. And this is from Darcy directly. As an educator, I strive to develop 21st century global citizens in a warm, welcoming, safe culture of learning where we are all teachers and we are all learners. By facilitating and empowering student growth and self-reflection, I work to ensure that all students draw meaningful relevance to our lessons while pushing themselves toward a deeper understanding. I utilize connectivity and technology to foster global relationships and understanding beyond the four walls of my classroom. Each year, I make it my mission to listen, to set high expectations, to validate ideas, spark a love of learning, and share in a collaborative responsibility of teaching and inspiring the minds and hearts of each and every child that comes my way. Congratulations, Darcy. This is so well deserved. We're so lucky to have you and all the students who benefit from you, and I'm so lucky to work with you.
Mr. Niger.
Ms. Grant? You have to play this on Ms. Gray. You have this. All right, so I'm fortunate to introduce Paula Gray. Paula is an outstanding educator whose talent in mathematics is evident in all she does. She teaches the highest level math courses with ease and remarkable expertise, and is vigilant in ensuring that her students are well prepared for future courses in mathematics. Through constant innovation in her teaching, Paula motivates her students and instills in them a love of mathematics and of learning. She routinely incorporates new strategies, whole brain teaching, problem-based learning, discovery, and advanced technology into her classes. She is creative in the big picture of what students need, as well as in the execution of numerous details to get them there. So this is evident not only in the classroom, but in the number of diversity of students who come back to visit her, thank her, share their successes beyond the classroom with her. She's passionate about mathematics and encouraging our students to pursue STEM majors, and keeps in touch with many former students who are studying or working in STEM fields. Paula is a role model of the mathematics department and readily shares her considerable knowledge, expertise, and resources with its members. She also listens to her colleagues' suggestions and has implemented their ideas in the classroom. And I've been lucky enough to work with Paula over the past couple of years on the Wall of Honor, which really was her brainchild. She's the head of the student council, she's on the faculty advisory committee, and truly gives a lot of input that makes this school a better place every day. She has built a lasting district-wide legacy of recognition, respect in the Wall of Honor, and will be a living example of the outstanding teacher, leader, and individual that she is. Congratulations.
you can stay up here because our middle school teacher of the year is still in New York on the field trip. So, yes. Is Janet DeMayo here? Yeah. If you would come down, Mrs. DeMayo.
So Ms. Janet DeMayo worked as a mathematics teacher at Bernards High School for 11 years before her retirement this year. Janet enjoyed a 30-year teaching career, having taught in New York City. She was actually the first female teacher at Del Barton, and then was at Mendip Township Middle School before settling at BHS in 2006. Here at Bernards, Mrs. DeMayo prided herself on her relationships with her students. She went above and beyond to connect mathematics with students' lives. Mrs. DeMayo was famous for dressing up as Euclid and rapping the history of geometry. I've seen it myself. It was truly funny to watch students react to this lesson. Janet was always thinking outside the box and using non-traditional lessons to engage students. Her classroom was a safe, welcoming place where students felt nurtured and supported. Mrs. DeMayo is truly a kind and generous teacher who loved working with BHS students. Her presence at Bernards has been and will be missed. We wish her only the best in her retirement.
Okay, so now we have girls lacrosse here, correct? Coach? And we have one more group after this, and then we have cake outside. It's a true celebration.
I am very proud to be here for the second year in a row to introduce the girls lacrosse team. Together with Coach Alyssa Maestas, we were able to shatter some more records this year. There were 53 players in the program in total, which is a record. We had 19 players which consistently played on varsity. Here tonight is freshman Jenna McHale, sophomores Anna Tamke, Spencer Smith-Russo, and Abby Cawley, juniors Annie Gillis, Laurel McHale, Elise Cohan, Lily Simon, and Julia Casella, and seniors Madison Pollock, Hannah Christian, and Paige Petty. At the conclusion of the season, we were ranked number 8 in the state. We finished a 20-4 with a 20-4 record. 3 of those 4 losses came from Bridgewater, who continued on to win the entire Tournament of Champions. We were division champs, county finalists, sectional champs, group champs, and took a girls lacrosse team to the Tournament of Champions for the first time. We had 5 players named first team all division. That is Paige, Hannah, Laurel, Annie Gillis, and Annie Thomas, and 2 players second team all division, Abby and Bridget Cawley, with many more accolades yet to be announced. Hannah Christian will continue next year to play lacrosse at Colgate University. She was a 4-year starter. Madison Pollock will be continuing next year at Duke University. And Paige Petty, a 4-year starter who will be continuing her career at Virginia Tech, was BHS's first ever Every group is special. Every team works hard. But the things that made this group especially unique was the way that they worked together. They problem solved together during games and practices, and they were so cohesive in the hardest of times. In addition to recognizing them, I'd like to recognize their parents for everything that they have done throughout the season and how much really falls on them, and their support leads us to our success. So congratulations, girls.
Congratulations. Oh, it looks like you have something.
On the behalf of our team, we just wanted to say thank you so much for the countless hours that we can put in for us and all the cool swag. I know all of us appreciate it so much. I don't think we could have asked for a better year, and we just wanted to say how much we appreciate you.
I just want to say one thing. I know it's a little bit out of the protocol, but my congratulations to the entire Girls Across team. It's a very near and dear place in my heart for that whole program, so I congratulate every one of the girls. I just want to say just something very special about a young lady who just walked down from the stage. She is, I've been around coaching in sports a long, long time, and she is one of the best I've ever seen, and I've been around a long, long time. And she's probably going to be the only one that knows this compliment, but I will put her in the same conversation with a gentleman by the name of Harry Chattel. I watched her as a parent. I watched her coach. She's one of the best I've ever seen. I don't know what more I can say, but she's got a very nice demeanor. She knows the sport like the back of her hand. She's very competitive, and I know the girls, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but you're very, very fortunate, and we are very fortunate as a district to have Jess McGinn as one of our coaches and part of our school district. Thank you, Jess.
Thanks, Luke. And our last group, Mr. Trumpy, we have a unique recognition. And that's all I'm going to say. I'll let Mr. Trumpy take it from here.
Hi folks. So coming onto this stage now is the Berners High School Jazz Ensemble. And I sent an email over to Franny back in the spring, or early spring, asking her if we could perform what you're about to hear. A couple of years ago, we had the chance to perform with one of the great tenor sax players, composers in the jazz world, Walt Weisskopf. And we were at Trumpets Jazz Club in Montclair. He was the guest artist. We had a chance to perform with him. And we just started talking. He really enjoyed his time performing with our group. And we started talking about him writing a commission for the band. And I submitted an application to the Somerset Hills Education Foundation, and it was accepted. I was thrilled. Chef has been wonderful to the music program, to the arts program here. So we got to work on that piece by Walt Weisskopf. He was able to come to our school. Actually, last year he came to our school. He's a former professor at the Eastman School of Music, also New Jersey City University, where he brought his ensemble here to perform last year, and they were amazing. He can be heard on the road this summer. He's been touring with Steely Dan for about 10 years, and he'll be doing that again this summer. And he's focusing strictly on his playing now, so we wish him well. And he really is one of the most respected composers, arrangers, and musicians in the country, certainly. And again, just thanks to Chef for supporting us for this commission. It's a wonderful piece. He actually wrote 3 parts to it. It's a piece entitled 3 Sets for Jazz Ensemble. The first movement is a jazz waltz. Second movement is more of a laid-back samba-ish ballad. And then the final movement is a straight-ahead swing tune. You're going to hear we're just going to play it straight through. You're going to hear a transition between the first and second movement that will feature our senior bass player back there, Dan Mayer. And then between the second and third movement, the transition will be performed by Thomas Riley, our percussionist on drum set. Very bittersweet performance for me, for the group tonight. It's our last with this incredible group of seniors who have totally lifted the level of our ensemble, not only this year, but every year that they've been in the group. And I would just, if you'll indulge me, I would just like to acknowledge them before we get started with the piece. First, Graham Brady on tenor saxophone. Graham Brady will be attending Pitzer College in Claremont, California, and will major in environmental analysis. Kirsten Campbell, back there on trombone. Kirsten will be attending Williams College as a molecular biology and computer science major. Emily Kim on piano. Emily will be studying at Connecticut College, where she plans to double major in English and government and minor in music. Daniel Mayer on bass. Dan will be continuing his music, academic, and athletic endeavors at Bowdoin College. Thomas Riley on drums. Thomas will be continuing his music education next year in pursuit of a double major in music composition and percussion performance at Rowan University. Jennifer Rupert, Jennifer back there on trumpet, will be going to Ithaca College for music education. And Rohan Shaiva, alto saxophone. Rohan will be attending Tufts University in the fall, studying computer science and film. Just a very special group of seniors, if we could give them a hand. Thank you. So, without further ado, here is 3 Sets for Jazz Ensemble by Walt Weiskopf.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much for performing it, for learning it, performing it, and also for spending the time with us tonight, because especially for the seniors, we know it's such a busy time for you, and you didn't have to do that, and also for getting just all dressed up at this time of year. Seriously, it makes a difference, and we really do appreciate it, and we're so proud of you. And good luck to those of you who are leaving us. We know you're going to be vastly successful, and we wish nothing but the best for you. So, and thank you again, that was great. And everyone, please join us for some cake now.
More recognition because our very, very, very dedicated middle school teacher of the year was on the 8th grade trip to New York City. So she just returned. So we're going to celebrate her right now. So we have Mrs. Dempsey to do that. Mr. Baker, if you could give me your microphone. Is there one up there?
There is one.
Okay.
Let's see if it's...
Testing.
Yes, good. All right. Well, we are so happy that Stephanie made it here today for her event. Talk about dedication. What time did you get up this morning, Stephanie?
4:20.
4:20, there you go. Stephanie has been teaching French to Burnsville Middle School students in grades 6 through 8 since 2012. She is as dedicated to her students as she is passionate about her subject matter. In fact, we suspect that many students are drawn to study the French language simply because of Ms. D'Angelo's infectious enthusiasm. Within the classroom, Ms. D'Angelo creatively uses technology to allow students to experiment with digital storytelling, web quests, and ebooks. Ms. D'Angelo also generously shares this technological expertise with colleagues through in-house professional learning opportunities, as well as conference presentations at both the state and national levels. Outside of the classroom, Ms. D'Angelo is an involved member of the BMS school community. She has led the student council to new heights. She is an assistant cross-country coach, and most afternoons she can be found cheering our students on at school sporting events. Students know that this support extends to their learning as well, for Ms. D'Angelo consistently makes herself available to help students both before and after school hours. When asked to describe Ms. D'Angelo, one colleague indicated that she is an example of all we as professionals strive to accomplish. And we believe this is a fine testament to her professionalism and work ethic. Ms. D'Angelo, we are so proud of you. Congratulations.
Today is special.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, well deserved.
Thank you.
We have the last report from Freddie Lutke. And Freddie has his family. Brought a cheering section. I told him that they raised a very fine son.
It's hard to believe that things are coming to an end. Today was our last full official day of school here as students at Bernard's, and I guess this is my last day.
Just speak up a little bit. I'm just not sure if it's working. Is that working? Okay.
There we go. So I guess today is one of my last ever board meeting as a student here at Bernard's. And as always, I'd like to give a quick student report followed by a few closing remarks. In terms of student life, this last month of school has been a series of celebrations and lasts for the senior class in particular. 2 weeks ago, Monday, was the senior prom, which was a fun event hosted at the Madison Hotel. It was definitely bittersweet though, because this is one of the last times our class has ever been together all in the same place, other than graduation. The senior edition of the Crimson, our school newspaper, just came out the other day. We also just received our yearbooks, which everyone's been signing that. As some of you well know, we had the senior awards ceremony last night as well. Upwards of a third of our grade was recognized in some capacity. It was really nice. A wide range of different interests and circumstances were recognized. Last up on the docket in terms of senior events is our graduation ceremony, 1 week from today. Fingers crossed for good weather. Amidst all these lasts, the current 8th graders also came up to tour the high school 2 weeks ago. They were shown around by their peer leaders. Definitely made me feel a bit old. The end of the school year has also been very exciting on the sporting front, as was highlighted today. The girls lacrosse team obviously winning a state championship was a huge highlight. We're all very proud of them, especially after they came so agonizingly close last year. We're also very proud of Paige and all American recognition. Certainly in my time here at Vernon's, no other athletes achieved that. And I don't think anyone's ever done that in the history of the lacrosse program. Timmy Lawless, also one of our baseball players, just represented our school the other day at the New Jersey Senior All-Star Game. As was mentioned before, we hosted the Group 2 and Group 3 sectional track meet, which was a lot of organizational work, but I think it really was a great way to show off all that our school has to offer. And lastly, the whole school is rooting on those 4 seniors you saw today, Quentin, Lamar, Stu, and Connor, as they go down to North Carolina to compete in nationals. In terms of extracurricular activities, the Veterans Outreach Club, which is led by Jack Topic, who's been featured a couple times this year, just finished up its first year as an official club. I know he managed to find 2 current juniors who will be leading it next year, so hopefully that becomes a hallmark of our commitment to service and patriotism. The National Honor Society just hosted its spring blood drive, and more students sign up and are actually able to donate blood. So it's a good problem to have. Also, The Pinnacle, our literary magazine, was just published at the end of the year. We're very proud of all our student authors who contributed work. On the academic front, final exams start tomorrow and continue through Tuesday. Thankfully, a lot of seniors don't have to take them as they're exempt. We also are now at the end of one of my favorite parts of the year, which is the post-AP exam period, where teachers get to assign more creativity-based projects that emphasize field trips and more experiential learning. And I know I've mentioned this before, but I definitely suggest continuing to promote those in years to come. On the curriculum side of things, we've just completed our first year of AP Computer Principles. It's so popular that I believe next year there are 4 periods worth of students. I don't even know that Mr. Chern can teach all of those. But that's definitely something to keep going. Students have also continued to enjoy the wider range of social studies offerings. I know when I started high school, we alternated between European history, U.S. government, and world history. Now, all 3 courses are offered simultaneously. And I think a big takeaway there is that it's appreciated by students, and it's important to look at long-term trends. Certain classes might have an interest in history, whereas others don't. But we're very grateful to have that kind of choice. Last but not least, I'd like to address a point Mrs. Hoppy made a couple meetings ago regarding teacher recognition. Obviously, there are some examples of that tonight, but I think it's really neat that teachers get recognized from so many different sources, from students through the Student Council Teacher of the Year, from the district, from other faculty members. And I know we're all very proud and grateful of our teachers for that. And as I was saying to a few of you before this, I can't thank you enough for your openness and your willingness to listen to the students' perspective on different ways we can hopefully make this school a better place. I strongly encourage you to keep the Board of Education Student Representative Program going in years to come, and to continue to seek out input from students with a variety of backgrounds. On behalf of the student body, I would like to thank you all for your service to the school community, for your determination in making Vernon's a better place going forward. So thank you once again. It's really been an honor.
representative new position that we created this year. I think it's something that the board found very useful to get the student perspective on what's happening in the district, and your reports have always been thorough and brought a lot of insight to what's going on a day-to-day basis in the high school. We really appreciate that. And we're going to miss you and wish you good luck in all your endeavors, and hopefully you will come back to visit us and let us know what's going on. And you can go. Like we always have at the end of your report, you don't have to stick around for the rest of the meeting. And again, thank you for all the work you put into this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I would like to just add one more thing. I have been very impressed with you, Fred, and I want to say to your parents, what a fantastic job you have done raising your son.
Just add to that, I mean, as a parent of 4 boys, 1 girl, 4 boys, you're just an incredible role model. I mean, you've had incredible accomplishments here at BHS, and you've obviously done incredible things on the athletic field and in the classroom. I just sort of ask that you maintain your humility, because it's one of your greatest attributes. You've got so many gifts and so many talents and so many blessings. Your humility is one thing that's always struck me as very powerful. You guys have done a wonderful job. Good luck at Georgetown.
Next on the agenda, I'd like to reopen the contract for the superintendent. So is there any more discussion? Seeing none, we'll go to public comments. Seeing no public comments, I'd like to motion to close the public hearing. Jamie, is there a second? Second. Okay. So now we'll have a motion to approve the contract of the superintendent. Is there a second on that?
There's a second.
Okay. Roll call?
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. DiGiacchino?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Yes.
Mrs. Tober?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Ms. Birch?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes. Next on the agenda is public questions and comments. We very much welcome input from the public. Public comments are welcome at this time on any agenda item. Towards the end of the meeting, there will be a second public forum on any topic. Please state your name and address. Comments are limited to 3 minutes, but an individual may speak a second time after all others who wish to speak on the topic have been heard. Please understand that our public forums are not structured as a question and answer session, but are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. In instances where the board feels that there is a misunderstanding or inaccuracy, the board president or superintendent may address the comment. In accordance with New Jersey statute, the board will not discuss matters regarding specific personnel. Public questions and comments will be limited to 30 minutes. Thank you for your input. Do we have any public questions or comments on agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move to approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion for approval of the minutes? On May 10th?
Motion to approve minutes.
Second.
Second? Roll call?
Mr. Baker? So also on the addendum, there's the minutes of that special meeting that we had on
May 15th.
So it's both a regular meeting from May 10th and a special meeting on May 15th. Mr. Baker?
Yes on 1, abstain on number 2.
Mr. DiGiacchino?
Yes to both.
Mrs. Lees? Yes. Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Yes on 1, abstain on 2.
Mrs. Tober?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Ms. Birch?
Yes on 1, abstain on
Mr. Palmer?
Yes. Okay. Next is finance.
The Finance Committee met last night, and we talked about some budget items for the coming year, how we can do things better on the budget. First was custodial overtime. We found that looking as we close the year out, we've got a lot of custodial overtime that we did not expect. So we want to ask the administration next year to make sure that any unusual event or activities going to occur that we know about it a year in advance, so we can include it in there. It's not just, we're in a line item, so the number got much bigger than we expected. We also talked about transportation matters. We threw some ideas around about how to make our school busing better for the coming year. We're going to vote on new bus software, and we're buying 2 new buses. So we talked a little about that and how we can streamline that going forward. There's a pre-employment physical change in policy that we discussed briefly, but that's going to policy because the state is now allowing different options for the pre-employment physical. So we will visit that once the policy committee reviews that. And that was all we discussed. So I'd like to move items 1 through 15.
Second. Any questions or comments? I'd just like to point out the donation from Somerset Hills Education Foundation for our STEM K-12 support of $30,049.99. Okay, so I'd like to point that out. That's another great donation from our Education Foundation, which does an awful lot to support the Somerset Hills School District. So I want to thank them for that. Roll call.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. DiGiacchino?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Yes.
Mrs. Tober?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Ms. Birch?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes. Next would be curriculum.
Let's see, the curriculum committee met yesterday, the 13th, and during that meeting, my copy joined our committee to discuss girls and boys sports. We discussed the balance between the two and found that including cheerleading and co-gendered golf, the sports were balanced. Also, Mike is going to put together a proposal with the intent of adding volleyball. The next thing that we discussed, Colleen Butler presented opportunities that are available for students at Somerset County VOTEC School. We were provided with materials describing these programs, and it was also mentioned that it's increasingly difficult to pass the entrance test for admittance into the VOTEC County School now. The group also discussed exploring more public-private partnerships with internships or apprenticeships. The committee also reviews the proposed criteria for, quote, 2-year ahead acceleration in middle school math. Students meeting the first criteria will be notified by their guidance counselor about the opportunity to take an end-of-the-year test in order to skip a grade in math. We discussed this proposal for 3 meetings. There was a lot of discussion on it, and we think we came up with good criteria, but it's also going to be an ongoing, we're going to revisit it to make sure it's working. Is it working how we want it to work? Are the criteria that's been set, is that the best criteria to use? So we are going to be going ahead with this and giving certain kids an opportunity. However, we are going to revisit to make sure we're on target with everything each year. The last thing we did was to review the request for field trips for this month. And again, all requests were approved by our administrators. So I'd like to move items 1 through 4 on the agenda and number 2 on the addendum.
Is there a second? Okay.
Who was the second?
Change. Is there any questions or comments? Yes.
I had a question. I didn't, and I was at the curriculum meetings, but number 4, which is the ESL 3-year program plan, was that discussed in curriculum? Did I miss it?
Number 4.
Yeah, the program plan. What I wasn't sure what that was.
That's a plan that we submit to the state every year for approval for our bilingual program. So it's something we submit all the time. It's in file in my office, so if you want to take a look at it.
Okay, so you don't actually, I mean, because we approve it, but we haven't reviewed it. Is that how you guys?
It's part of lots of things that we submit to the state.
I know, because I know we do that, like we submit the technology plan, but we, as a board, we go over it. So there are several plans that have to be submitted to the state, but as a board, usually there's, at some point in time.
We can take a look at it if you want to take a look at it.
But next time, I just said for curriculum, if it has anything to do with the high school, it'd be nice to bring it into the committee and have it reviewed there, if that's possible. Okay. So that's my only question I had.
Any other questions or comments? I have a couple. I have a comment. I did go to one of your curriculum meetings when you were discussing the math program and the pathways to that. And I want to say that the curriculum committee does put an awful lot of time into trying to work these things out and all the investigation and time and effort that they put into it. So I just want to say that I did recognize how much effort you do put into these problems that we throw away.
The committee really did, think about it. So I appreciate your comments.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you. And so
it
does
was
everyone else.
it really is something I know you really worked hard to try and come up with a solution to the questions that people had. The other question I have is how is our curriculum relationship with Bedminster? Are we working closely with the curriculum? If there's anything new that we should know about as far as working with the Bedminster curriculum.
So we do have a meeting planned here at the end of the month, and all the curriculum documents are open and shared. Recently, Bedminster asked for some samples of our math programs, our science programs, because of some things that have recently changed. Even though we adopted the New Jersey Common Core standards, the state of New Jersey changed those standards to New Jersey Student Learning Standards, just the name, not the standards themselves. So that Bedminster was asking how we did that and wanted to see some samples, as well as we're starting to implement new standards for the elementary school science program and asked for some samples. We hope to share things with Bedminster that helps the curriculum. It's something that I care deeply about, that we need a coherent curriculum K-12 for students. Students don't just experience curriculum in one set, they see it all connected, so we have to work to make sure it's connected, and since we have a regional district, we have that mission. And Bedminster and I have had that as one of our main goals, in our relationship, in our work. So anything that they ask, they also ask for some data at the end of the month. Randy Esposito, who's part of my department for data analysis, does some work for them and shares the attendance. Also, they wanted some analysis of APs and how well students were doing in terms of graduation. And we make sure that those documents are shared with Bedminster anytime they ask.
Great. And it's a good relationship with everybody. I think since Denver started.
Yep.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, I'm just happy to hear that we're looking into the volleyball. It's encouraging to hear that. I think I'm anxious to hear Mike's report on feasibility and needs and all that sort of thing. So I appreciate keeping us up to date on that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. DiGiacchino?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Yes.
Mrs. Tover?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Ms. Birch, items 1, 3, and 4?
Yes for 1, 3, and 4 abstain because we did not review the curriculum.
4 abstain?
So it's not reviewed.
1, 3. Mr. Palmer?
Yes. Okay, next is facilities and operations. Fortunately, I wasn't at the meeting this afternoon, so I don't know if I can have someone else give the facilities report.
Okay. We met, the facilities committee met tonight, and first thing on the agenda was a field trip. We
My
walked
favorite
down-
part of it.
Yeah, we walked down. We have
It's every
we
student's
didn't have to get
favorite part,
approval
field
for this
trips.
field trip because we didn't leave the building. But we walked down to the new multi-disabled construction site, and that's the old library, and it's probably 80% done. It looks wonderful. I mean, they're putting the floors down, the walls are painted, so it will be open by September.
He said it.
I'm
I'm
going out on a limb on this. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, right, okay, good.
That's a slam dunk.
Because I'm not the chairman, I can do that.
Okay, that's good, because if I say.
So anyway, so we're all pleased that it's ahead of schedule. The second item we talked about, we have a request from the Burnsville Public Library to use one of our classrooms or this room on a Thursday night, just to make sure that the facilities group is okay. It doesn't need board approval, but they have an ESL program at the library on Mondays and Thursdays, and the library, because of budgetary constraints, is going to close on Thursday nights for this fall. So they've asked if they can bring their ESL adult program over here for those 2 or 3 hours. So we felt there was no problem there. It's a good way to share services with the town. You know, they're struggling to make ends meet right now. So we talked about that. We had a proposal from Verizon on the 5G proposal, and we just looked it over. It looks fine. We're not voting on it tonight, are we? No, we're not. But there'll be more to come on that. We also
Can I
got.
just share a little bit on that?
Sure.
Just, because there's no cost associated with it, there's no actual formal motion to make, but we, F&O agrees that we're gonna move forward with it. I mean, the board, so we're still moving forward with the work that they're gonna do to do some experimental work here, but there's no cost associated with their proposal.
So it's a great program. There's only 12 towns in the whole country that are going to have the 5G. We also got the test report on the Alcott turf field, the controversy with the manufacturer. So we had tensile strength and stretching done, and it met the criteria for the fibers as they are right now. So we'll have to monitor that as a board every couple of years, because as the field gets older, it's going to get worse and worse. And sometimes they'll have to be replaced, but we don't know when.
Right now, I wanted to just add, I'm sorry,
Sure.
just briefly, they said, their opinion was that there's at least 5 more years left on the field. That was their opinion.
That was their opinion, okay. That's a good number. So, we also then, last thing on the agenda was, we talked about the facilities, some of the work that will be done around our 3 buildings over the summer months. The biggest project is to fix some of there's pipe leaks here in the school that we've been trying to fix, and we're going to fix some of those pipe leaks. But then there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going to be done. So that was what we talked about. So I'd like to move items 1 through 4.
Yeah, 3 is actually on the addendum.
And
so.
3 is on the addendum, so that's a change order you'll see there.
Second.
We already,
correct.
Okay, so we approved something that's already been done, is that what?
Basically, yes.
Okay.
It's a conglomeration of several different small items that had to be done during the construction. There was no one thing that stood out, but one of them was security cameras, and tying in some of the systems ended up being above what we originally, above the $2,159,000.
Okay.
And the use that the library is requesting is just the one night. They're going to have the one night in the library and one night here.
Right, they're only going to be here on Thursday nights, and it's only from September to November. And they're hopeful that they can figure out the budgetary shortfall and get that fixed by next year, so. But, you know, if they can't, they may come back.
I ask a question on, I guess if Franny or Nancy, I'm not sure. How is the usage going with the media center after school?
Well, it's busy, it's not overcrowded. It depends, I mean, it fluctuates. The kids are using it, but it's not like during the day. It's busy right now too, you know, sports are ending, so great. So I think we probably might have a better gauge in the fall, because school's ending, so now we're kicking in. We'll probably, and since it's been open for a while, that's probably our better gauge in the fall.
Like the spring sports and all of that.
Yeah. Well, they know what's in there and how to avail themselves, so now they've tested it, so we'll see, I would guess, in the fall, what the true numbers would be.
Anyone else? Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. DiGiacchino?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Yes.
Mrs. Tover?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Ms. Birch, items 1, 2, and 3,
Yes. All
and Mrs. Palmer.
Yes. Policy. Policy, we did have a meeting last week, I guess it was. I think it was last week. And we have a number of first readings, which I'd like to make a motion. Jamie. Any questions or comments on all the policies that were in your packet? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. DiGiacchino?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Yes.
Mrs. Tover?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes. We go to personnel.
The Personnel Committee met on Monday, June 5th. And one of the things that was already touched upon by Bob is we discussed the fact that with the opening of the new media center and the upcoming new special education space that you were discussing, plus the increased numbers of inside and outside events that we're having in our facilities, that we are in need of additional janitorial staff. And the overtime for the custodians is a concern. And with these new beautiful spaces, we want to do everything we can to keep them beautiful and nice. So the administration has recommended an increase of 1 additional custodian to handle the extra workload. We used to have 19 custodians in 2011, and we moved to 17 at that time. So we want to add 1 back at this point, and the committee agreed that that would be a good idea. That will reduce the amount of costly overtime in the long run and help us care for our spaces.
What number is that?
That's just my committee report.
No, just part of the report, it's
I'm
not.
just giving
Oh,
this
we haven't,
committee
it's
report.
not on the agenda yet?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, it's
Okay.
just, it was a recommendation from personnel that we,
We also discussed the upcoming searches for a new superintendent and a new business administrator, as both Dr. Wood and Nancy Hunter will regretfully be retiring. Nancy is retiring in December, and we thank her for her 12 years of dedicated service to our district. As she will be leaving in December, we are starting the search now for her replacement. With Franny retiring at the end of the year, the school year in 2018, we discussed retaining New Jersey school boards to help us with the process of searching for a new superintendent. The recommended timeline there is for that process to begin at the end of September, beginning of October, and for board interviews of applicants to begin in January. I would like to move items 1 through 33.
is there a second? Okay. Any questions or comments? I have one. Number 5, it should be, MC should be the principal, not the assistant principal at the middle school.
So they said that is not on here. That new increase.
Is he-
No, she
is
said
it-
it's on the agenda.
I don't see it. I don't see it on the addendum. Question is if we have that custodial on up for approval tonight.
Oh, it was just a recommendation.
It was just a recommendation,
discussed.
I
don't
think, to go into next year's.
We even hired somebody, so.
What?
We didn't hire anybody. so
No, we
that's
discussed
what's
that it
not
would
on
be
there.
a good idea to do so.
So it's a recommendation, but it's not going to go
Recommendation,
in.
but
It's going to be
There's not-
budgeted for the following years.
Or if we hire somebody, it'll be somebody that'll be on the personnel agenda
In August.
in August, if we have somebody for September.
So it's a recommendation that the administration brought to the board, to the personnel.
Yes.
And you guys said yes.
yes.
And now
That-
we're asking, we're reporting to the full board that the personnel committee has recommended that we hire another custodial position.
And the board doesn't vote on that? How's that work? No? I don't know. I'm just
Board-
wondering.
this
I'm-
board-
When we hire somebody, it'll come up for a vote.
At that point in time. So right now, you.
Right now, that was the recommendation. If you want to have some discussion about whether you think that's a good or not a good idea, then this is
No, I'm
as
just
good time
wondering,
as any to say that
no, I'm
you
just
agree,
wondering of
don't
the
agree.
procedure because,
That's what it is. So personnel, so we made the recommendation to personnel, and it passed through personnel. And Jamie reported it out to the full board.
Mhm.
So if there's
Is
discussion
there
on
any
it,
discussion
then
about
we would
whether or
have
not
it
you
now.
think?
And then if there's no discussion on it, then we would move forward and move to hire somebody, and then that person's name would be on the board.
okay, so the discussion is, so I was just wondering, is that, I mean, for the budget that's, what, 17, 18, I guess you guys looked at it and we could squeeze another person in with your budget, I'm not sure, because this is high school, right?
The
This
overtime
is high school.
hours have
Right.
been so high.
The overtime and the additional space, because not only will we have already have the media center, but we'll have the other additional space. And the reason that we didn't put it in last year's, the budget for next year, was because we weren't sure, so we didn't want to add something that we weren't sure we were going to absolutely need, because we didn't feel that that was really being fiscally responsible. But then it absolutely has shown itself as a necessity, and looking backwards, we should have done that and probably erred on that side, rather than coming forward now and saying, it was a mistake not to do that, because we're having trouble, the custodians are having trouble keeping the high school areas clean, because there are that area is a very large area, and then when this one comes in, we're adding to their workspace, and it's a problem, and it's also a problem with the association, because we're starting to get feedback from them that, it's additional work and workload and all that kind of stuff. So we should have put it in the budget, and we chose not to.
But you're going to try to find money for it.
Yeah, we think it's important to do that, because for the reasons that we stated, because, one of the things that we take such pride in is the way the facilities are looking and the way it looks at the high school. And, things started to get a little bit less than clean ever since the media center's been put in, because it's been the additional burden. So I don't know that we have much choice, because we put that beautiful facility in, we have to care for it, we have to care for the rest of the school, and we're having a problem in addition to all that with overtime. So it just makes sense, because it'd be cheaper for us to hire a custodian than pay the overtime.
So what you're trying to do is, for September, we're looking to have a custodian, you're going to try to put it on the agenda there, and you guys Nancy looked at it and say, okay, yeah, we can find the money somewhere within the 17-18 budget, even though we didn't budget for it, there might be some that we can use for that. Is that what?
Yeah, but
Okay.
we have to.
But just, because we're talking about co-curricular in here, I know we're not full-tilt negotiating now, but I would like to just, to the best we can, keep a careful eye and pay attention to the co-curricular structure in terms of the of the positions. There's still some issues that we talked about in one of the other finance meetings I shared with Franny. A structured kind of a guide for coaches with different years of experience and so forth. And there's some other issues in terms of the equity and balance of the seasons and all that. So I know it always gets kind of put off to the end of negotiations. I know last time there was an effort to try to address those issues early. I think we still need to address some of the issues. So I don't want to forget about it. I want to just continue to mention it so we don't forget.
Well, you know what, we've discussed numerous times now that we are looking to have a salary guide for positions, and so those, I think, would also fall into that, right?
That would be,
I mean, that would,
it
it would fit in nicely with that,
It's a good time to look at doing that.
which would help us when we're making these decisions.
Any other questions, comments? I'd like to make a comment on number 11, accepting the retirement of Nancy Hunter. I've worked with Nancy for the 12 years she's been here. And
No. No.
We want to vote, we vote no on Alan? Okay, is that what you're saying? Okay. So I'd just like to say accept with regret, change it to accepting with regret. And also that it's been a pleasure working with her for the 12 years on, as a board member and as the chairman of the facilities committee. She's always worked to make things happen in the district and with the projects that we've been working on together. So I just want to express my appreciation to Nancy for that. And no other questions, we'll go to roll call.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. DiGiorgio?
Yes.
Mrs. Lees?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Ms. Sui?
Yes.
Mrs. Cobra?
Yes.
Ms. Virtue?
Yes.
Ms. Birch?
Yes.
Items 10 to 30, sorry. He disperses items 10 to 30. And Mr. Palmer?
Yes. And now we're to public questions and comments. If there's anyone in the public that would like to make a comment or question, please come to the podium, say your name and address.
Hello. My name is Sama Habibi, and I live on 8 Mosley Road in Gladstone. I've lived in Gladstone for 10 years and have been a parent at Bedwell for 5 years. Also, for the past 2 years, I've been a paraprofessional at Bedwell, working in the cafeteria. Prior to Bedwell, I was a first grade teacher in Denville, New Jersey. I really enjoy interacting with the children, and I'm passionate about the importance of social, emotional wellness of the kids. In January 2017, I started working with Mrs. Pike and Mrs. Friedman to implement a monthly calendar of a random act of kindness. Each day, a random act of kindness is announced on the morning announcements, and the kids are encouraged to fulfill them throughout the day, making someone else's day brighter. I contacted Mrs. Mongo and Mrs. Craver, and they were equally excited what the random act of kindness could do for the kids at the middle school. And with the help of Mrs. Butler, I contacted Mrs. Macis, and she was excited to share the calendar with the high school students as well. I'm so appreciative to see that the random act of kindness calendar is being used in all 3 schools. Fostering kindness is an area I feel passionate about because it supports the mental and emotional wellness of our kids. Recently, I had the pleasure of participating in the 3 long-range strategic planning meetings that the district held, and I was happy to be a part of the future of our district. In the last session of the strategic planning meeting, I was part of the health and wellness group, and the goal statement that we came up with was to strive for balance between students' happiness and achievement while embracing everyone's differences. So this is a beautiful goal for our district, and I hope we achieve it. I'm sure you're all aware of Maslow's hierarchy. I'm getting my hierarchy of needs. It suggests that a person's basic needs such as food, water, warmth, rest, feeling safe and secure have to be met before pursuing loftier goals such as psychological and self-fulfillment needs. I personally believe there's no more fundamental basic need than that of safety. As the caretaker of our children, it is your duty to ensure their safety. I'm here today to present a no cost to the board wellness initiative that will positively impact the mental health of our students and their families, and to publicly show your commitment to the children and their families. I ask the Board of Education to pass a safe school board resolution. Such a resolution would reinforce the board's expectation that the Somerset Hills School District create and maintain a safe and welcoming environment. It would welcome and protect everyone regardless of their race, gender identity, sexuality, country of origin, regardless of their parents' actual or perceived national origin, citizenship, or immigration status. Since education is compulsory, Somerset Hills District will be a place where students and their families can focus on learning without fear, discrimination, or harassment. Further, this resolution would give guidance to the employees of our district in the event that local, state, or federal authorities attempt to enforce immigration laws by seeking entry to our district property or attempt to communicate with our students who are under the supervision of the Somerset Hills School District for any activity, including riding the bus, to contact the building principal to determine the appropriateness of their request. The resolution would ask that no request be granted until it is reviewed by our superintendent and the legal team while protecting the constitutional and legal rights of the district students. Further, this resolution would reinforce that no district employee should ask a student or their parents or caretakers their immigration status, as it is relevant to their duties, educating and caring for our students. Passing this resolution is nothing new for our district. 2 years ago, the district passed a resolution in regards to park. I believe this resolution can go a long way in meeting the health and wellness objective of our long-range strategic planning meeting goals. Without feeling safe, there can be no learning. The Somerset Hills members have a moral and legal obligation to serve and care for all students, no matter their documentation status. I would urge you to publicly act on this matter. I intend to return to the next meeting, board meeting, to hear publicly your stand on this matter. I have copies of this, one copy, I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to make multiples, of the Safe School Board resolution. It's just an example. And you should be aware that such a resolution has been passed by 4 other towns in New Jersey. They're Elizabeth, Clifton, Piscataway, and Newark. And I thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments?
Good evening. I want to thank the board for serving. I know what it is to serve for so many years. I just want to put this in front of everyone.
Joe,
So
you can't hand stuff out to the board.
Oh, I can?
No,
Okay.
you can give it to me.
Okay. Then I'll give you 12
Okay,
copies.
thanks.
The reason I'm here tonight is to thank you and to introduce myself. How are you? I've met you before.
Can't touch the board. Can't touch the
Oh,
board.
can't touch the board. Sorry about that. Take me away. As you know, the school board and the school system has utilized 80% of our field use in the community. Now with the addition of the new fields, we're going to lose about 50% of what you've been using, okay? And that's going to create a problem for all of us. They're going to shut down Upper Polo and shut down Lower Polo, which I don't understand why we're shutting down Lower Polo when it's a usable field and they can do all the work in Upper Polo. But that is going to give you a tough schedule to schedule all of the teams and people that are using your facilities. So I'm going to come back to the next meeting to see exactly how that is going to work. As you know, I've been volunteering for 40 years in the community, working on every single, the pools, every field, every playground, every school addition, you name it, okay? And one thing I've always pushed is to complete the facilities. Sports facilities seem like it's the last thing on the list, whether it be coaches' needs or field needs, all right? That has to change. We have supported, I have supported, I write my tax check every single quarter, and it's a big one. And I will never stop. But we have beautiful facilities. Everyone's working very hard, but there's one department is at the bottom of the barrel. Our lower gym, where my mother went to school, was just painted after I don't know how many years. That's just something to think about. Why? Why are our sports facilities not the best when we produce some of the best teams in the state? They have to play on pavement. They have to play wherever they can and practice, because we don't have enough fields. Up until recently, if we didn't donate the turf field, where would they be playing on? They were playing on a field that had rocks coming through it. It's the same thing of what's happened up at the Polo Grounds. The Polo Grounds, if we didn't take the initiative, people to fundraise, to think out of the box, to build $1.2 million field for $500,000, or donate $1 million field here, going back to the turf field. Now, we've had plenty of opportunities, and we've been here before to talk about it. We talked about the bottom lower level and the property that's there, that's sitting there behind King's, that people look at all the time. And look at the back of King's. It's an empty lot. You can see from the pictures in front of you that we want to finish what we tried to start a long time ago. How many years ago we had a meeting in this room, and we talked that we could build a full football lacrosse soccer field back there. We went and built that field for practically nothing in the scope of what's being spent here. I'm asking this board again to let us go forward and complete that field as soon as possible. All the base engineering is done on that field. Bring the engineers back, draw the lines again, draw it out, submit the permits, and move forward. We are moving kids. They're walking to the fields. They're walking back from the fields. They're jumping in cars that they shouldn't be in. They're walking in the street to get there. You have busing problems. You're going to have busing problems this year trying to fulfill the needs of our kids that need fields to practice on. So I did a little research. You have a layout plan there. It all fits. You know, we did this before. You have an ordinance that allows you to go forward and build whatever you want, except for if you get closer than 50 feet from a neighborhood, you got to put a buffer in, and I think the buffer would be a great thing to put in now from up at the top of the hill all the way down to the back near King's. A 50-foot buffer planted now, you'll never have to deal with it again. The neighbors there are blocked off. But the other nice thing about this field too, the height of it and how high it is, that it blocks the back and the noise and the lights from King's. I come to you tonight with friends of mine that are willing to donate 50,000 yards, 30,000 yards, whatever that field needs in the way of yardage, certified, delivered. So the only thing we have to do, and we went through this before, and Nancy's an expert at it. She knows all the numbers and whatever, and what we're able to accomplish there. She's an expert at everything. We're going to miss you. We can put this together, get it back to the board in the next month or so, do an analysis of it, and let's get it back to the board as soon as possible so they can take a look at it and see what the numbers are. It's very easy to calculate. We have all the bottom elevations. We know what the top is. We know what the yardage is. We know what the planting is. We know how much topsoil we're going to need there. So let's not wait any longer. Let's not have all the frustrations of dealing with not having fields. Now this field, if we have that field, I think we will probably be able, and can I ask the coach, or I have to ask you to ask the coach?
You have to direct it to the
Okay,
board.
Mr. President.
Yes.
If we have that field, will that put us in a position where most of the football or most of the lacrosse will stay right here on this site without being trucked off? Bust up. Kids, friends, cars, walking.
We would have to do an investigation, and I can't, like
That
I
would
said in the comments, we can't
But I
go
think,
back and
I
forth,
think
but-
from what I gather, and I'm just saying it's not what I hear, that would solve a tremendous amount of problems of transportation, field time, and being on the site here, they could be studying in our new media room, and then when the field's available for their turn to get out there, they could just go to the locker, change, and go out. The other part of the whole formula is to help us out, is to light these fields. And we have this Mickey Mouse way of lighting, which creates problems because of the glare and whatever, but the new LED lights light this box. Like if you wanted to light that box, you light that box. And it can be controlled, of course, by an iPhone. And you can put any level of lighting you want at any time off the iPhone. So I know there's concern with the neighborhood, but there would be no concern because it would be better. It's a safer field. Don't forget, every time we have a football game, when that ball's kicked in the air, it disappears. And it creates a problem. Now it's time to come into the 21st century and do what the other fields at other schools that we're competing with. So I ask you, please do this. Now, we have another situation that because of the lack of fields, we have all of our grammar school and middle school kids that don't have fields to play on. So why is that? You know, why don't we have fields to play on? Why do mothers have to go up to the middle school and pick the kids up in intramurals and take them to these other facilities? It's a one-way thing. They have to play in other towns. We never get the opportunity for our kids to play here, right from school. Or other towns are providing buses so that parents are working. And half the parents, or more than half the parents, are obligated to do other things, and now they have to try and pool it. It's a hardship for all these great kids that want to be in sports. And then beyond that, we need to put more money into that. We have stripped the athletic department. We need to add the right coaches, and we have great coaches, but we got to give them good assistance to help them do what has to be done. So I ask you, please, I want to come back next month, at next month's meeting, and I want to see where we stand. I am willing to do whatever, Nancy, I've worked with you before. Anything this school board has ever asked for, I've been there to help in any way, whether it be whatever, okay? And sports is not at the bottom of the list. Our kids are getting into the most fantastic schools because of sports and everything else that we provide. I have an example of my beautiful daughter, Jennifer, who works for Millbank Tweed, went to Seton Law, came out of this school system, was accepted at Harvard, Yale, Cornell, Colgate, and Lafayette. And from there, she decided to go to Lafayette. But her education here put her into Lafayette, where she walked through Lafayette, was able to go to Washington, get a job in the White House. From the White House, decided to become a lawyer, went to Seton Hall Law at the last minute, graduated with honors there, walked out of there, couldn't get a job, sent out 50 resumes, and ended up with Millbank Tweed. You know what Millbank Tweed is? My daughter today sits at home, gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and deals on a multi-billion-dollar bankruptcy that's going on in Europe. Came out of this school. You know what got her into those schools? You know what they said? You're a swimmer, look what you did, look at your records, look at your grades, the combination. But you know what was different? When she went to Millbank and she was interviewed by 2 of the top lawyers there. You know what they said to her after they finished the interview? Any swimmer, any athlete that's committed to doing what your football players do in August or swim at 5 o'clock in the morning, that's the people that we want. It builds character. So I don't know what you're thinking about not taking care of this particular problem. We supported 3-point-something million in the new tech center and all the other things. The buildings are beautiful. If there's anything else we got to do, we'll do them. There's some other things we got to do for the fields up there so we get better fields for the grammar school and middle school. But this is so important to take a look at that, look at what the needs are, and let's go forward to work them out, okay? I appreciate it. I'm only going to talk one subject tonight. I'll be back next time with another subject that I want to take care of. Okay? But I thank you very much for everything. I am a proud American. I'm a proud veteran, and I'm a proud person to live in Burnsville, and I'm proud of the school system that you guys provide for our community.
I appreciate all the work you've done for the district and your comments, and we will get that over to our F&O committee for review. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll go on to Strategic Planning Committee. Just a report on that, we did have our planning sessions were completed, and
just give you the latest update.
Yep.
I think we put together a plan to work with the administrators and staff to start to create the action plans. We had a good meeting here Monday. The administrators started to brainstorm. What are some things we do in these 5 areas of goal that we're currently doing some really great stuff in the areas of wellness and teaching and learning, century skills, but also what more can we do? And we looked at all the examples from the list from strategic planning. We meet again Friday to come back and start putting together some of those ideas in some template form.
Okay. Any questions on strategic planning? So we should be maybe able to have a presentation in September.
Right, I think the goal is September.
So that's a little more than, that's a little earlier than we originally thought.
The goal.
The goal is September. September's going to be busy. Okay. Supplementary matters. Any supplementary matters anybody would like to bring up?
I just have one quick
Yes.
reminder that tomorrow there's an open house at the Bedwell Garden, and all the members of the board are invited from 6 to 8. And I believe that there might be some tomato plants in there. In the evening, right? In the evening, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay, good. I just have one. We started the Community Relations Committee, which to address some of the issues I think Joe was talking about, when we do something on site and making sure neighbors know what's going on. We have Greg is the chair of that. I'm on it, and Janice has tentatively put her hand up to join.
I'll give it a try.
So, yeah.
Are you going to send letters out to all the residents in the surrounding area to inform them of the meeting?
Of the meeting?
Yeah.
Well, we've got to form the committee first, and then the committee can decide what's the...
We're still in need of a couple more members, so
if anybody else wants to volunteer to be part of that, or if any member of a committee wants to jump from one to the other, to let me know too. But now that
The answer to your question is yes, Ken.
Yeah, I think
we'll
that
be
would
reaching
be...
out to the neighborhood, and we want to move carefully and respectfully.
So if anybody else would like to...
I would be interested in that, perhaps.
Okay, that'd be great.
We're going to tie in too with we're kind of holding off a little bit with the strategic planning, just so that we can start together with it. Because there's more to it than just what we're talking about here, community relations, involving parents and so forth. So
There's going to be a bit of an engagement committee, right?
yeah, it's going to be what our needs are, what we determine our needs are.
Any other supplementary matters? Seeing none, motion to adjourn. Second? Okay, good.